Welcome into Rover Sports. I'm Bruce, the Sports Doc, and we're here on a very active sports night. I'm here with Spencer G. And firstly, we're going to be raising a cat if I could find a cat around here, because the Sixers got off to a really huge lead tonight, 24-point lead in the first half. They almost got bored with the game against the Washington Generals, of course.
Yeah, Bullets.
Yeah, Washington Bullets. But no, we're just kidding. But what happened was Washington employed a very new technique called Hack a Ben Simmons, and he complied by only shooting 15%. They slowed it down in the fourth quarter, and a nail-biter to the end, but they ended up winning by 5 points. So that was the end of the six-game homestand, their longest homestand of the year, and they ended up beating a good playoff team. Bradley Beal suffered an injury in the middle of the game where he got hit in the face. His nose was bleeding, and he was treated in the locker room and actually came back and did pretty well. So now we look at it, and I remember you and I were watching the game, frankly, intermittently, and the highlight, I think, was a 5-minute period where Embiid blocked 4 shots. He was a complete beast. One time he blocked a shot, and then Simmons gave him an alley-oop slam. So when Embiid has the energy, has the mojo going, it's a pretty exciting situation.
It certainly is, man. And that basket today looked like it was 20 feet high. Both teams couldn't throw it in the ocean. And then there was the T.J. McConnell twin out there as well. Ben Simmons, when he dribbles the ball, it's like he just taps it and the ball kind of comes up like a bouncy ball. Yep. And when Ben Simmons is scouring around the basketball court, it really looks like he gallops and glides, like he's on like some kind of unicorn, and he's just an incredible like 7-foot point guard, and it's been a seamless transition. Sixers have a talented basketball team, man. Jared Bayless making plays, J.J. Redick, Dario, but tonight it was the
Dario had a good game. He had 24 points tonight.
Tonight it was the Joel Embiid show. His wingspan is like from here to the state of New Hampshire. Guy has such long arms. He's such an athletic freak. I think his mother was in attendance today. They were both smiling and laughing. And Joel Embiid is a very special basketball player. He's a God-gifted player, has great touch shooting the ball, and he blocked. It was a block party tonight at the Wells Fargo Center. It was very nearly a loss. But as coaches always say, it's a lot easier to go to work on Tuesday or whatever the next day after today is after a win.
Absolutely.
Instead of a loss.
Also, there was some blowback in the state of New York. The owner of the New York Giants, who's John Mara, actually came out and said that the team handled the benching of Eli very poorly. So there's a tremendous mutiny going on, because Eli has been benched in favor of Geno Smith. The game will be played in Oakland, but obviously the Giants are getting a lot of blowback. They also might be talking about starting the third-string quarter, actually playing Webb in the second half, and it looks like that team's positioning itself for a high first rounder.
You watch Davis Webb. He's the classiest athlete maybe in the NFL, and for his age, I think he's the most mature athlete that I've heard in a long time. The guy is going to be a tremendous coach after he plays football. He is mature beyond his years. He was very saddened that Eli Manning got benched. Even though Davis Webb probably wants to play, he realizes that Eli Manning is that franchise, and the fact that Davis Webb has 1,000, is handling the situation with 1,000% more class than the owners that have been there forever in the Maras and the Tisches, really speaks to the way that the Maras have lost this organization. And the Maras have lost the New York Giants, have lost touch with the fan base, with how to handle things in a classy way. They have lost their way as a franchise. And, even not disciplining Odell Beckham, like after touchdown antics, not commenting on the Miami story, letting Ben McAdoo hang around and letting him kind of permeate and kind of destroy from the franchise from inside. I think that the Maras and the owners, and I watch this with a lot of different fan bases, but the Giants have never been one. I look at the Haslams in Cleveland. I look at Dan Snyder. and somewhat the Kings ownership too, the ones that are making decisions. And I think that it's very frustrating as those fan bases have experienced, Bruce, to see like Art Modell and to see the franchises being destroyed and you're hopeless and you can't do anything. Well, the New York Giants fans can do something. They can go to Twitter. They can speak how wrong this is. Eli Manning is New York Giants football, and he is such an important part of the franchise, and he's brought the franchise more joy than these guys could ever imagine. And to toss him aside, and just scrap him like he's just like a practice squad player for Geno is unbelievably disrespectful and disturbing.
We have a question from Lisa from Reading. She wants to move into the arena of NCAA football and, of course, the Final Four. And she has a question. She believes that it's going to be very tricky between Alabama and Ohio State. So if Alabama has one loss and Ohio State has two losses, which one of them is going to eke into the fourth spot? What are your thoughts on that one, Spence?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I will. I would say that looking at it, I believe that Alabama is, they played in the Iron Bowl. It's a rivalry throughout the records, and you shouldn't have to go undefeated to make it into the Final Four. Alabama's had a very tough strength of schedule, the fifth hardest one. I also look at the way Ohio State got completely shellacked by Notre Dame at home. So I'd actually pick Alabama. Reason is I think they're good at all aspects of the game. They've got the best coach in college. And they just, the game against Auburn was just a bad setup for them. And just because of that one loss, they're going to be blocked from attending and participating in the SEC championship. But I would personally pick Alabama. Your thoughts? Between Ohio State and Alabama.
Bruce, the Alabama Crimson Tide has played the worst two games of football to end the season. They could have lost in Starkville to Mississippi State. They really played poorly there on defense, and then Auburn drilled them, flat out embarrassed and humiliated them. Meanwhile, Ohio State played a Michigan State team that's an 8-win team with a college coach that could be going in the Hall of Fame in Mark D'Antonio, and they blasted Michigan State in a way that team's never been blasted before, 51-3. Then Ohio State went into Ann Arbor and won. Ohio State made an incredible comeback versus Penn State. The SEC, and I like the SEC and watch the SEC, is totally down this year. Ed Ogeron, Danny Etling, Darius Geis and LSU. It's an okay football team. Alabama beat them. Alabama played Florida State at the beginning of the year and whipped them. You thought that would be a good win? Florida State, they're on the verge. I don't even think they're going to make a bowl game for 30 years. It's the worst Seminole team in 30 years. Like, you have to go before Bobby Bowden even set foot in Tallahassee. So, what are Alabama's good wins? Ole Miss is bad. Mississippi State is okay this year. They got drilled in the middle of the year. They're an 8-win team. So where is Alabama's big wins this year? And Ohio State's playing great at the end of the season. You should reward Ohio State for beating Wisconsin. And Alabama's strength of schedule just simply isn't there. You got to reward the team that plays great at the end of the year. Because look at Auburn. Auburn went to Clemson, Bruce, in week 2. And Clemson beat the doors off of Auburn. And we said, Auburn, you know what, Gus Malzahn, this football team looks awful. This offensive line looks terrible. Then we watched the second half of LSU Auburn, and you looked at that Auburn offense, and you're like, this play calling's beyond terrible. It's just Jarrett Stidham throwing 40-yard incompletions and getting stuffed. There was no way after LSU Auburn that anyone thought that Auburn would beat Alabama, and yet Auburn improved. And Auburn used
Auburn continued to get better and better.
They changed. Just like Ohio State losing to Oklahoma, they changed. So I give credit to teams playing well at the end of the season and would put in the Buckeyes.
Okay. Well, that was certainly a healthy discussion.
Yes.
And just to let everybody know, we're here at Rover Sports. We'll be traveling throughout the country. We're going to be attending a lot of college basketball in the spring.
Heck yeah.
Here in the Big East, obviously, Villanova is going to be a top 10 team. We're going to hopefully travel down to Tobacco Row for a little UNC, a little Duke action.
Think Villanova
also want to
should
head out
leave
west.
the Big East? You think the Big East is too easy for
no,
those
I
guys?
don't think
Too
so.
many cupcakes.
I think
for
we'll
Nova.
be. I think we'll be watching Wichita State, one of our
Yes,
favorite
yep,
teams.
yep,
We'll be
going
going out
to,
to Northern
Coke Arena.
Iowa. Northern Iowa, obviously, they're starting to get their feet out under them.
I want to go from to Cedar Falls, but Bruce, also big shout out to Mike Down who came on our show, Brookings, South Dakota.
South Dakota State Jackrabbits.
Going to
Mike
Brookings
Dom's a
will be
great
so
guy,
much fun,
future
man.
pro, 6'10",
Yes.
really nice personality. So a lot of exciting things
So
coming up.
Cincinnati and Wichita State, like back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they used to actually play each other. I forget what the conference was called, maybe the Southwest Conference, but that's a rivalry now that gets revitalized in the new conference. My friend Mark Adams there is a Dayton, Ohio native. He says that's one of the healthiest rivalries in the Midwest, and that is so cool now that these teams get to play each other. So that atmosphere in Wichita is going to be insane at the Roundup.
And here we are in overtime, so we have one more topic we want to discuss.
Overtime.
We've got
Yeah.
a guy named Jimmy Garoppolo, who is a guy who was an understudy for Tom Terrific in New England, is going to get his first start for the 49ers. Now, I know you cover a lot of 49ers football, and a lot of these YouTubers are definitely interested in your take on Garoppolo and the 49ers. What do you see in this upcoming game?
Coming home, baby, coming home. You know that song? I'm coming home, I'm coming home. You know that one? Lil P. Diddy song?
Yeah, sure.
Jimmy Garoppolo, guess where the guy is from?
Don't know.
Chicago. He's a Chicago guy, like Chicago deep dish pizza. He went to the
Going to the Bears?
He went to the same school. Well, he's playing Chicago. Yep, Mitchell Trubisky versus Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo went to the same school as Tony Romo, Eastern Illinois University, the FCS program. Jimmy G, what a nice guy from Chicago. Family homecoming. Perfect spot to put him in. I think this was the plan all along. C.J. Beathard's a good fourth-string quarterback. His solid play has thrown a little bit of controversy among the Niner Nation, but it's Jimmy Garoppolo time, and I expect the Niners to go in there and hopefully get a nice win against Chicago Bears. Actually, I think the Niner fans with Kyle, they want to win, and I think that the Chicago Bears fans, I think they're done with Fox and Loggins, with Johnny Fox.
Yeah, the Bears certainly looked terrible against the Eagles.
You saw them up close and personal,
And they were just, there was nothing there. They were like a complete ghost. And so on that note, we're gonna sign off. Appreciate everybody watching, sharing the video on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever media.
We're gonna post this thing everywhere.
We're gonna post this everywhere and anywhere. In any way, actually.
Anywhere.
And anywhere even. I'm Bruce the Sports Doc. I'm here with Spencer G.
Yes.
And everybody from Rover Sports. Good night and good sports.